It's just another normal day on the internet when game journalists are attacking developers and their projects for absolutely ridiculous reasons. Whenever a game blows up, they try to find any reason to trash titles, and the newest game on the journalist chopping block is Sifu because they are accusing Sifu of racism and cultural appropriation. Really quickly though, before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description. And of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So starting off with the Sankaku Complex article, it says Sifu, a kung fu brawler paying homage to 90s kung fu movies, has been a target of harassment by game journalists who accuse the indie developer Slowclap of racism. Of course, I'm not surprised to see game journalists trying their very best to attack this game and attack these developers. I've heard nothing but positivity around Sifu. I actually didn't purchase it at launch. It was one of those games that I was keeping my eye on, but I decided I'll purchase it eventually and I'll play it eventually, but it is getting such amazing reviews right now. People absolutely love it. They're saying the combat is fantastic, really smooth, really buttery, awesome. People are saying that graphically it looks really nice, and overall it is a challenging but fun experience. I have seen like no negativity surrounding this title except from game journalists. The event bears resemblance to Ghost of Tsushima when the developers were accused of racism while actual Japanese people loved the game, and now Sifu developer Slowclap has been targeted next for daring to not consult enough Chinese people over the game. This is a very similar situation to Ghost of Tsushima actually. Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time. It was absolutely amazing, but game journalists were furious that they didn't consult enough Japanese people and they didn't do this right and they didn't do that right. At the end of the day, the game sold great. People absolutely loved the title, and the same thing is happening with Sifu. Game journalists are trying to attack it, basically trying to get these developers canceled, but people are buying it and people are enjoying it. The point of contention is in the baseless assertion that Slowclap lacks Asian developers or consultants. The development team at Slowclap is almost entirely white and has no connection to the cultures they've dedicated their whole game to. Seeing white people rip off other cultures as wallpaper for their creations, no matter how much research is done, is cringy. I'm here for representation, but I'm also a believer that you should write what you know. If Slowclap wanted to tell a Chinese story based in China, they should have hired more Chinese staffers to help with writing, development, and production. While playing through Sifu, it's hard not to think about its development team being white. It frustrates me because from a gameplay perspective, Sifu is phenomenal. This is a prime example why people hate game journalists. They are trying to find any reason to attack this game possible. They're saying, oh, there's too many white people on the team. It doesn't matter how much research you did, it's cringy. I'm here for representation, but you guys should have hired more Chinese staffers. They are doing anything they can to make people upset over this game. I think that it's absolutely disgusting that you're saying, oh, if you're this type of person, you can't write that type of story. I think if you're a white person, you can write a story about whoever you want. You are doing the research, you are putting in the time, you're trying to figure out the culture, you're trying to tell it in a respectable way, and that's what these developers did, and these game journalists are furious over it. This sentiment was also shared by other like-minded journalists, such as Ollie Smith of GameBite, another white journalist determined to speak for Asians. Sifu seems to pull mostly from more modern Asian action cinema and misses the broader context of it. Sifu's obsession with China as an aesthetic highlights some of the problems with modern game development. It might have been better had Slowclap included educational resources that seek to teach players about the history of martial arts or maybe hired more developers who were Chinese. Of course, they're trying to find anything they can to complain about this game. These attacks and others stem from the gamer writer Ki Hoon Chan, who labeled Slow Clap as being full of white developers, though the game itself was later praised by the journalists. It makes absolutely no sense. They said, "Do I hate white people? Yes. And if you're a friend, you'll understand why this is never personal. I hate white privilege so much. Their ability to scream reverse racism when faced with a tiny bit of criticism. The world revolves around them, even in Singapore, every day. This has become a rant and I apologize for this. I'll expect another round of harassment again in a few months or so. As is the reality for every non-white games journalist. You literally just admitted you hate a certain group of people based on their skin color. Of course you're going to face backlash for that. Of course people are going to be furious with you. That isn't something that you can go on social media and say. Imagine if the word white was changed to something else like black. It would be a disaster for whoever said that. I mean, they would be kicked out of industries completely. It says, white gamers have zero nuance, zero understanding of the world, and it'll forever be like this because the world bends over to meet their expectations. And if they're upset, they just scream at their targets until everything works miraculously in their favor. Isn't that what people like you do? You are screaming that, oh, this group of developers, they didn't hire enough of these types of people. They didn't hire enough Chinese people, and that is ridiculous, and they should basically be canceled over that. So you're just trying to scream until everything works out the way you want it to. And hilariously, these game journalists are getting owned on social media for not doing journalism, for not investigating. People are commenting things like, how about the Chinese artist who's been working there for 3 years, and they shared a screenshot of a LinkedIn page, and this journalist said digging up LinkedIn profiles of people who the studio aren't bothering to list on their official website isn't the own you think it is. That is literally journalism. You go online, you investigate, you look for things, and this journalist is saying, oh, actually doing the work and the research isn't real journalism. This is too hilarious. Another blogger from Kotaku made similar claims, and despite facing evidence of his own falsehoods, he remained firm in his accusations of racism. While we're on white indie devs stop doing anti-Asian racism's discourse, I wanted to give a special shout out to the Sifu devs for not only having 0 Asians on their dev team, one of their co-founders has Kim Jong-un as their display avatar. Stay classy, y'all. And of course, even Reset Era is trying to find anything to cancel this game over. And at the end of the day, Sifu is selling really well. These developers made a game people really love. I haven't purchased it yet, but I will be purchasing it soon, and I will definitely give it a try. But that's all that I really had to talk about in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.